I think we need to get better at taking care of our basic needs, taking care of our basic wants, desires, and basically just taking care of who we are. Because anything will collapse with no foundation. And a lot of times we don't give ourselves the necessary security or the affirmation to just be ourselves or to exist in a world without any expectation. And what I'm realizing is it's not necessarily the expectations that the world places on you, but the ones you accept and place on yourself. Because at the end of the day, the only one who can judge you is you. And you have to allow every judgment, every, passing breath, every negative comment, whatever you deal with in your day to day, but you have to let that in. And I know a lot of times it's sort of involuntary. It feels like whatever's coming at you is inherent to your character. And a lot of times it's not. But I think we take it personal because we expect validation and our foundation in the external world. We look out to sort of support what we have within when it should be the other way around. You know, we as people, I feel like, can't really invest too much of ourselves outside of ourselves. And that's not to say you can't care for anything other than yourself, but to say that you have to care for yourself before you give care to other things. Fill yourself up before you fill others. And when we don't do that, I feel like that's when we become exhausted. Because it's like you're trying to provide other people or other situations or other things with attention you can't even give to yourself. And that's why I feel like it comes to collapse. Because once you don't get that validation or that security or that foundation from whatever it is you're putting your energy into, then you find yourself collapsed. And that's why I think it's sort of important to just invest in yourself. Not necessarily just invest in yourself, but do invest in yourself. You can work on your projects, you can work on whatever you want to, but at the end of the day, I realize that whatever you do contributes to yourself. Whether or not you think it does or it doesn't, even your inaction, even nothing contributes to yourself. It just contributes nothing. And, nothing is something in this sense because a lot of what we do and a lot of what we are is based off our desires and based off what we think we need for ourselves. And once you realize that most of what you need is are things that you can give to yourself, then everything else is a gift. And I feel like that's when you can truly select something that's befitting for you. Because when you're doing it out of, I don't know, a need for a validation or a need for worth, you know, other than that which is inherent to you just by being alive, then you find yourself in situations that sort of pull you away. And when I say pull you away, I mean pull you away from the present moment. Pull you away from yourself enough to make you think that what you are isn't sufficient or what you're doing isn't sufficient. When in reality, a lot of what is sufficient. It's just about being honest with yourself when it comes to what you're doing and your application of it, because it only has to make sense to you. Your life is really in your hands. And I know there are some situations where it feels like it's not, or it basically isn't. But for those of us fortunate enough to have that liberty, most of our problems are internal. Most of our problems are internal, yet we look outside to find solution. We try to build foundation out there so we can, experience good out in the world when we could just experience good in ourselves. And that's not to say not experience good in the world, but to say if you experience good within yourself, then no situation in the world is going to make you feel bad about yourself. Because I find that when you feel good about yourself, or at least you're honest about it, you're going to do things that will continue to make you feel good. And what I mean by that is not necessarily chasing a feeling, but understand the implications of your actions and how they impact you. Like, I'm going to try to eat healthier because it makes my body feel better, which allows my mind to feel better about everything I do. I work out so I feel better about my everything. It's just about contributing to self. You meditate, you read, you do what you need to do to balance your mind, body, and soul, spirit. And you continue to move forward. But I'm realizing you can't really move forward if all you do is try to balance those things with the external world. Balance those things with everything that is not you. Like, not necessarily craving validation from the external world, but to say that sometimes when we put ourselves out there in expectation to be seen, we get mad when we're not. And I think it's the very expectation that sort of makes life difficult at times, because we expect people to be a certain way. You expect people to feel the same way about you that you feel about yourself, or you feel about them, or certain situations. If you really want it to work, you expect it to work. But what I'm realizing is your success is not determined by the way things react to you, but the way you react to you, the way you react to the world, the way you react to your circumstances. Because at the end of the day, the circumstance is just a circumstance. Your problem is just the problem, but it's not you. And I think that separation of self from issue is what allows people to sort of traverse the world in sort of a positive way and still achieve. Because their achievement is not going to be halted by their lack of achievement in a specific area. You know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And I think some of the best shooters just take a lot of shots. You know, your success is not necessarily determined by your one big win, but all your attempts at victory, all your attempts to try. And it's really about your continual effort and continual trying. Because when you try, you open your door to success. You open the possibility to success rather than letting it stay closed to nothing. If you put nothing in, you probably get nothing out. And if you give your all to every situation, I'm not saying necessarily having a lot of conscious effort towards a situation, but bringing yourself, having conscious intention with who you are and being in the situation, you'll understand everything you need to do to get what you want. Oh, I need to work on this so I can do this better. Oh, I need to do this so I can do this. You know, it all works out and it all lines up. And it's not about piecing out each and every step to get to your end goal. It's about learning where your next step is. And then learning where your next step is. And then the next one. And then the next one. You can have a kind of an idea of what the grand scheme will look like. And that's not bad at all. But I'm saying if that stresses you out in terms of, you know, looking towards the future, I find that living in the present, you can bring the future here. Understanding what you need to do in the very moment in order to get to the point you want to get to in your mind, and not necessarily separating yourself from whatever you place in your mind, but realizing that it's being cultivated each and every step. The second you make music, you're an artist. The second you rap, you're sort of a rapper. Maybe you don't want to, you're not accredited or something like that, but I feel like those sort of titles, when it comes to creativity or when it comes to self or any development or any accolade or something you give to yourself that is not necessarily given by some structure or some person, you know, it doesn't matter. And when I say it doesn't matter, I mean it doesn't matter what other people think about that accolade you give to yourself. You know, it's about how real you make your dreams, how real you make your aspirations that allow them to be manifested in reality. You know, if you waited on everybody else to hop on your bandwagon and feel good about what you do and feel good about who you are before you do, then I think you'll live a life full of waiting for validation, full of not being adequate enough for yourself. And, you know, when I say stuff like that, it's kind of hard to think about how subtly we do it to ourselves in our thought and in a lot of our actions. It's almost as if we go out into the world, we're taught a few things, and we judge how we react to every situation by how we react to one situation. Like if I do this bad, if I fail one class, I'm bad at school. But like, and then it carries over because you think that you're bad at school. You think that whatever it is, whatever situation, whatever single instantiation of whatever you're doing is representative of the entire thing. And I think we do a lot of that with our negativity. We do a lot of that with our passion and our succumbing to some of our losses in life. But, you know, like I said, falling down is sometimes affirmation that you were standing. And I feel like having that comfort and giving yourself that grace when it comes to your effort allows you to continue to put in effort, because it's never been about what you receive. It's how what you receive makes you feel. And if you can provide yourself with a feeling of good before you even receive this something, then you realize whether or not it's truly inherent to your character and whether or not you truly need it. And if you don't need it, then I don't see a reason in being mad for not receiving it. You know, not necessarily in that sense, 100%, but in terms of attributing it to your character. Because of course, if I want, like, if my mom made some food or something and then the whole family ate it, I didn't eat, I would be mad. I didn't need the food because I could make something else, but I definitely wanted it. And it's okay to feel certain things, but it's not okay to attribute it to your character. That's what I feel. You know, because your feelings are going to be your feelings regardless. And a lot of times our feelings are just telling us, you know, what we think we deserve in a certain situation. And most of all, how we feel about ourselves. I feel like Our feelings about everything around us tells us how we are feeling inside, and tell us how we feel about ourselves inside. Like if you're angry, it often tells you that you thought you deserved better in a situation, and you have to realize that part of your worth is invested in the situation. And you have to give that power back to yourself and realize that no situation, no person can take away the power or the value that you possess. The value and power you possess is sort of inherent to your character, inherent to you being a person. As long as you're committed to doing your best and being yourself, I don't find that there's any reason for anybody to I wouldn't say dislike you or anything like that, but to attribute any negativity to yourself. Of course, if you do stuff that's bad, you're morally, I don't know, then it makes sense. But that's where the honesty part comes in. That's where your truth comes in, because you have to realize what your actions do and how you impact others, maybe in subtle ways, because sometimes it's not even a conscious thing. Sometimes we're just not taught, and we don't understand how to work with certain things, and we don't know how to work with ourselves. And in that way, we don't know how to work with other people, because a lot of people have a fictitious image of themselves built up in their head, and they play out this character without actually being here to play that character. They sort of set themselves up with no foundation, and they build a grand building, and they just go around. They just sit there, or whatever buildings do. But regardless, the point of that whole analogy is to say that you have to make sure whatever you're doing is coming from within, not for what's out here, but for what's inside of you. you know your love for art, your love for whatever, your love for your schooling or your future occupation, or your love for inspiring the community, whatever you have done that makes you feel like yourself and makes you feel like you're contributing, you're supposed to hone that in and do it with a subtle appreciation, a subtle understanding that whatever you do, as long as it's good intention and you have good intention within yourself, then it's befitting. Then it's I find that stuff we feel like is really for us, because it's not necessarily for selfish gain. It's not for some gain that's outside of ourselves. It's for a gain within. Realizing that what you put in is what you put on, or what you put out is what you put on. And a lot of times that gratitude, that appreciation, that love that we give out to the world is put back on us. Because if we truly love ourselves, then we'd have no reason not to love the rest of the world and love those around us. If you love yourself and you're truly secure within yourself, then you're going to do whatever you feel is befitting of you, and you're going to take care of everyone else by doing that. By being you. And of course, being amiable, of course, understanding, the implications of your certain actions, of course, understanding what you need to do to continue. And a lot of times what we need to do to continue being ourselves is nothing. It's nothing. Letting go is what makes it stay. Is to say that a lot of times we treat ourselves like, we'll leave ourselves if we let ourselves go. And that's not true. That's how you become aware of yourself. By letting yourself express yourself in however way you see fit, and then choosing how you want to interact with the world, choosing how you want to react, but understanding and appreciating your foundation. Like, I could be a very emotional person, but that doesn't mean I have to be emotionally volatile. It means I can understand my emotions and the depth of my character better. It's about turning whatever you find negative about yourself into a gift. It's like renovation. And it goes back to the house analogy. I'm explaining it again for the newbies. So if you imagine your house, all right, and your house just has a bunch of tables, it has some mirrors, some windows in your house, and that's cool. You got to love your house for what it is. And once you start to love your house, you paint it your favorite color. You might have some bricks and stuff in your house that you need to renovate. You do that as you can. And then you might hang out with your friend. You might hang out with some situation, the world. And you see a chair on your lawn. And you go, oh, I didn't know chairs existed. So you put a chair in your house and you redecorate it for yourself. And you keep on building and building up each and every part, and understanding you're just becoming aware of these parts. And whenever something is bad, like if you got a busted brick in your house, it's not about tearing down the whole house. It's about replacing that one brick with something that's better. Understanding that it's about renovation and not necessarily getting rid. You know, they say if you keep using the same bricks, you'll build the same house, and it's true. It's not about breaking the house down and rebuilding it a certain way. It's about taking out each individual part, renovating it, and placing it back in the house. Because you can't get rid of yourself, and yourself isn't something that you need to run from. It's something that you need to stick with and appreciate and learn how to take care of. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Make sure you're taking care of your foundation. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you didn't, I'm sure I did. You know, when it comes to our foundation, I feel like it's something that we really need to focus on before we get to more the grand expressions of who we are. Because once you get to those grand expressions and you love your foundation, then no matter what you build on top of it, it'll be filled with your own love. So thank you. Keep being great. And enjoy your day.